What's good? Yo, let me turn this mic up. Check, 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 check. All right, I think that's good. I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm here. I'm here. You're here. It's it doesn't have the ProQuo banner yet. Let me. It doesn't really feel like really official. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do for you. Just for you, so you don't feel like you're at a stranger's house. There you go. That feels much better, doesn't it? This is Pro hanging with the people. Shout out to you. Shout out from me and Quo and from Fly. Was talking to Quo briefly today on the text. We'll be getting up with him tomorrow, and hope everybody's feeling well. Got up with Fly last week, as you guys know. We did the New York thing last weekend. Most of you who were checking in, we you'll probably hear from Fly sooner than later. Although I do believe I have to send people a new invite, because what happens with StreamYard, little inside information, is if you go on too long after you say you're going to go on, it's like, nah, you ain't really going on. So it doesn't believe you. So then it kind of shuts you down. So that's what I had to do. I had to reissue. So I was mixing a song. So, I mean, to my defense, I like to think that that's important. And I'm thinking I might show you mixing a song live, like what that actually looks like. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I might. I'm thinking about it because it's up on my other screen, and I really wanted the excuse to do it for 5 more minutes. So I figured if I showed it to you, that would be one way to do it. But I hope everybody's feeling good. Crazy times in this world. I know it's been another crazy week. I've been trying to concentrate on getting this music done, getting the education stuff done, juggling. You may have seen, if you follow my social media, I did a, you probably don't. It's Professor Lyrical, at Professor Lyrical, at most things. If you go over to my Instagram page, you'll see I was doing some juggling and shooting some baskets. So I think we're going to set it off with that, just to show you the juggling theme, right? Because we have to juggle. You know what I'm saying? We have to juggle in life. We don't always want to, but when we juggle, it looks something like this. Let me go over to my Instagram here. Come on with me. Come on over, folks. What was that like on Mr. Rogers when he had the neighbors over there? You see him behind the scenes. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. This is it. Well, let's go to it. You know what? I didn't do the let me do sound. Let me share sound, because it could be, you might want the sound. So let's do it this way. We're gonna go share screen. This is riveting entertainment. I understand. When you're watching me share. All right, here we go. All right, y'all. Going for the 3 one-handed free throws juggle combo. This is epitomizing juggling, right? We got to juggle our lives. Tree, I know you saw this. You commented. My man Lucky from the Celtics, the mascot. Shout out to Kip. He commented too. He said, dude, if you get a headset and flow while doing this, this would be a bigger hit. So I had to cap it off with the free throws. Had to use the one hand for the first 2. But the last one, I was like, you know what? I got 2 hands. Let's not be too cool for school. So that's that. So, yeah, it's been a juggling week. You know what I mean? I know you're all used to it. Many of you have 2 side hustles, right? And at some point, you get to a point where the side hustles are so blurred, you don't even know what the side hustle is and what's the main gig. So I understand. So my comments are screwed up. Sorry about that, just because of my posting late and stuff. So I have to wait for certain things to kick in. So some of you can hear me talking about it right now. And so if you go to my page, you can actually comment in there. So if you find mine is facebook.com/Professor Lyrical. But if you're hearing this right now, that means you're somewhere else anyway. So, but that's a good spot to be. So shout out to everybody. I'm getting excited for Celtic season. I'm still, being out here in DC, I'm trying to watch as much of the Red Sox as I can. I know a lot of you are probably doing that as well. And it's a little difficult. It's a difficult time, right? So, but yeah, I wasn't really expecting them to get this far, but that's cool. So gives me something more to watch. Watching the Red Sox is not something I'm willing to pay for. I do pay for the Celtics. I do pay for the Patriots being out here. And that's a lot as it is. And I'm on the Team Brady. So it's like, I'm pretty happy getting to watch most of the Tom Brady games, because most of those are nationally televised, as was the case before he left. I didn't really have to go out and spend. But last year I did, and the year before actually, just to make sure. But it's new time, so yeah, I'm excited about the Celtics. I saw that Jaylen Brown has COVID, so he's gonna be out for a while. Marcus Smart got suspended. Missed a little time. So the team's trying to gel, get everybody on the same page. So I'm excited about that. In the world of music, let's kind of give a quick overview. I'm working on a lot of songs that need to get finished for different projects. Got a whole bunch of them in the works. Got a bunch of interviews coming up, and need to film a few more drops and stuff like that. So those of you who are artists, if you got a single, a real cool thing to do is record drops. Some of you may not know what that is. It's just you shouting out the radio station that you intend to play it. So you can kind of get lists of, who's playing it, or maybe you can get a list together of who you'd like to play it. Send them the drop. Don't just send them the stream, right? And don't just send them a link to the stream. Send them the MP3, right? If you want them to play it, I do it too, like when I'm in a rush. But send them the MP3, because sometimes people's systems are not set up to play streams. We can play streams here, which means we can play your music, and that makes it easy. Yeah. My man Fly and I, if you didn't check in, we hit up New York City. We did some interviews. Speaking of interviews, some radio stations. We went to Rucker, which was crazy. We did the show from New York, kind of. We kind of did it like after the fact and during. We checked out a comedy show, and we were actually trying to broadcast the comedy show, but that was pretty difficult from where we were. We were at a diner. I think it was called Pete's Grill in Queens, pretty close to where we were staying. So that was fun. Fly's like, "Is that Dr. J over there?" And we're like, "That's Fat Joe." And over at Rucker Park, which was crazy. I took a turn to get off the expressway that I was on, and I overshot it. And because of it, I was like an exit too high, and I was able to come by Rucker. And I actually forgot what exit Rucker was. I knew it was up there, but and it kind of looked like it from that angle, but I wasn't even sure it was it. I was like, that might be a fake Rucker. And they've redone the court so much. They put a lot of work into it and so forth. So I saw my man up there. He sees me walking on the street. We were trying to front like we were supposed to be, like, in the game or whatever. So I'm walking with records and everything, and happened to get a parking spot like at the park, which is incredible because they were all reserved for people. Somebody pulled out. I pulled in. The police were right next to it. We walked in like we were supposed to be there. And then we started walking in like we were supposed to be there. And I'm about to get in the line, and Fly is like talking, and we're reading this thing. And I'm reading this dedication to this dude. And the dude who the dedication is to for the park, the new way the park is done over, I think his last name is Marius. Shout out to Cordell Marius. So his uncle is that dude. So he was there, and I see this dude that I know. I know from Boston, and he's up in New York. And he's like, "Yo, because you trying to go in?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, let me hit you off at the wristband." I was just about to leave. I was like, "What?" And the place was like sold out and everything. So we were able to just like walk in. So crazy. You might see people, So we checked out Harlem Shake. We tried to go by a few other places. Not every place was open that we wanted to see, but we saw most of the spots we needed to do. And yeah, so that was a lot of good stuff. Talked to a lot of people in the industry. LD was out there doing a lot of, speaking of industry, a lot of stuff for documentaries and books and so forth that he was trying to get filmed. Fly filmed this video, which was cool for the Fly Style Fridays. So yeah, that's the recap. If you missed it, that's kind of what we did. And there's been so much behind the scenes. So many amazing opportunities have come up over the last few weeks for all of us. And, it's Freedom Corner brand making moves or whatever. But that's it. That's it on our end. Other than that, just trying to juggle and try to keep things straight. So I'm going to play for you a very, very, very small snippet of something. All right. So give me a second. I'm saving something right now. All right. Let's see. I said I was going to do it right now, but it's really like I'm getting it ready behind the scenes right here. So let's see. My man running for governor. We had to do the theme song for Mr. Jane. So going to show you a little sneak of that. He likes it as is. I was going to make some edits to it. I still might. So shout out to him. He's running for governor. Shwani Jane, who was up on the show. If you missed him, shout out to Shwani Jane. We're going to play his joint right now. And here it is. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to stop it because I'm just not positive that shared sound again. So let's do it one more time. Yeah, it probably didn't.
Yeah.
Let's put it back. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Bro. Shwani J. Y'all say you really wanna see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you really wanna see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you wanna really see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you really wanna see that change, and y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. He gonna legalize Mary Jane, gonna make it free to ride that train. Wants to eliminate your income tax. Get on his website, learn the facts. Universal pre-K, money out of politics. Gonna be the governor of Maryland, it's obvious. Make-A-Wish ambassador, work for Obama, work for his family, mother and his father. Family of immigrants understand differences. Cancer survivor, fighter, listener. Inclusivity, accessibility, building communities with organized agility. Everybody gonna pay their fair share, yeah. Everybody in this campaign to volunteer. Jane for governor, don't forget the .com. Our voice, our vote when you log on. That's the hashtag, learn other details. Tweet it out or send out an email. We'll prevail as this campaign is relief, recovery, reform, Jane. Y'all say you really wanna see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you really wanna see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you wanna really see some change, y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Y'all say you really wanna see that change, and y'all better vote for a Shwani Jane. Jane for governor.com. Millennials stand up. Seniors stand up. Marylanders stand up. Inclusion politics, baby.
A lot of whispering going on that track. Shout out to Larcy Vegas holding down on the track. So if you're wondering, that's Larcy Vegas. Hit him up, man. He makes beats. Larcy Vegas, Larsy Vegas, like Las Vegas. Yes. So if you need a beat, hit up Larcy. Yeah, good stuff. So on the bottom there, Shwani Jane for governor of Maryland theme song. So that's my man Shwani. He's a good dude. Hope that he wins. And we'll have to rock out at the after party. You know what I mean? Like when the confetti comes down, that kind of thing. Yeah. What else? So the Sox are playing right now. If you didn't know, you should go leave and do that. Don't be watching this if you want to be watching the Red Sox or be taping it. We don't care either way, as long as you get one of them done. And yeah, I was talking earlier too about Celtics got him on. Excited about that. Excited to see Pritchard get some play at the point guard. Other stuff that I want to talk about too. Some people hit me up on my Facebook, and they were asking, someone tagged me, and so let me do the tag that I was tagged in, so you guys can see what you think. If I can find it, let me see if we can find it. Got to find it efficiently. It is right. I'm saying it's right here, but yeah, there it is. All right, let's share it with you. It's about aliens. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the aliens going. Aliens. It's not really about aliens. It's actually just about this. So let me blow this up for you. Mysterious radio waves coming from the heart of the Milky Way baffle astronomers. So some people had tagged me about my input in it. There's like hundreds of people on there talking about, aliens and everything. Radio waves and radio signals coming from space. That's not actually very unique. So just so people know that. So there, it says the radio signal named, I'm not going to read all that, after its coordinates was unique because it started out invisible, then it turned bright and faded away before reappearing again. You can see they're trying to make it unique, right? So they're trying to find something that is unique about this. So the radio signal itself is not, but what they're trying to say is it started out invisible, then turned bright and faded away before reappearing again, said Tara Murphy, who was Wang's PhD supervisor and professor at Sydney Institute for Astronomy at the School of Physics. This behavior was extraordinary, she said. Okay. The scientists detected 6 radio signals from the source over 9 months in 2020 and tried to find the object in visual light, but found nothing. They opted to use the CSIRO radio telescope and failed to recognize the source. According to the press release, the signals don't fit any currently understood pattern of variable radio source, and it could suggest a new class of stellar object. It could, but it might not. So more time to be seen here. So astronomers will be looking into it and seeing what it is. So always exciting when there's something new out there that we hear. But I seen this article a couple days ago, and it's now getting traction on like some of the commercial stations like WBZ or whatnot. So it's a little sensationalized. They always try to make it look like somebody's beaming something towards us or whatever. It's kind of the implication there, because you see like the Earth sitting there going, it's coming towards us. They're trying to communicate. Maybe not. A lot of things emit radio waves. So anyways, that's just my thought. I might be wrong. Maybe it's aliens coming to attack. They won't get here anytime soon. But that's it. So what up, Rhonda? How to be involved in what matters. State and local elections are so important. Yeah, I saw. I was at the doctor today with my son, and the doctor had a shirt on, said "Vote, vote, vote" underneath, which was pretty cool. It's a great point. You know why voting matters? Because people are trying hard to stop your vote, right? And they wouldn't do that if voting didn't matter, right? They just say, no problem, big deal. Votes don't matter. If it was all like fixed, right? Then your vote wouldn't matter. So it's important to remind the young people of that and to think critically about that and to say, hey, if your vote didn't matter, why would people try so hard to stop it, right? So clearly a lot of important people believe that your vote does matter. Hey, I want to read something. I brought up a book, amazing book. I actually got from a student. We were talking about this in class a couple of years ago. It's Bill Bryson, The Short History of Nearly Everything. Let me hit stop sharing. I got to read from you this section, all right? Physicists are notoriously scornful of scientists from other fields. When the great Austrian physicist Wolfgang Pauli's wife left him for a chemist, he was staggered with disbelief. Had she taken a bullfighter, I would have understood, he remarked in wonder to a friend. But a chemist? It was a feeling Rutherford would have understood. All science is either physics or stamp collecting, he once said, in a line that has been used many times since. There was a certain engaging irony, therefore, that his award of the Nobel Prize in 1908 was in chemistry, not physics. Rutherford was a lucky man, lucky to be a genius, but even luckier to live at a time when physics and chemistry were so exciting and so compatible, his own sentiments notwithstanding. Never again would they quite so comfortably overlap. For all his success, Rutherford was not an especially brilliant man and was actually pretty terrible at mathematics. See why I'm reading it. Often during lectures, he would get so lost in his own equations that he would give up halfway through and tell the students to work it out for themselves. I've been there. According to his longtime colleague, James Chadwick, discoverer of the neutron, he wasn't even particularly clever at experimentation. He was simply tenacious and open-minded. For brilliance, he substituted shrewdness and a kind of daring. His mind, in the words of one biographer, was always operating out towards the frontiers as far as he could see, and that was a great deal further than most other men. Confronted with an intractable problem, he was prepared to work at it harder and longer than most people and to be more receptive to unorthodox explanations. His greatest breakthrough came because he was prepared to spend immensely tedious hours sitting at a screen counting alpha particle scintillations, as they were known, the sort of work that would normally have been farmed out. He was one of the first, possibly the first, to see that the power inherent in the atom could, if harnessed, make bombs powerful enough to make this old world vanish in smoke. Physically, he was big and booming with a voice that made the timid shrink. Once, when told that Rutherford was about to make a radio broadcast across the Atlantic, a colleague drily asked, "Why use radio?" He also had a huge amount of good-natured confidence. When someone remarked to him that he seemed always to be at the crest of a wave, he responded, "Well, after all, I made the wave, didn't I?" C.P. Snow recalled how in a Cambridge tailor he overheard Rutherford's remark, "Every day I grow in girth and in mentality." So I'm going to stop right there too, but it gets into more stuff that he did. But anyways, Rutherford was born in like 1871, and we think about these people from antiquity as like these super brilliant kind of people or whatever, and it's always good to hear that they're humans just like us, right? So I was really relating to the fact, like sitting in front of, like, I've been sitting in front of the computer like for a few hours now, many hours now, to be honest, and working on this one thing to try to get it right. And opportunity usually comes from people that are tenacious, who don't quit, who keep going, who keep pushing. And so whether you're good at math, whether you're good at rapping, whether you whatever your thing is, right, the thing that you do, there is no big like God-given talent. That's a myth. There isn't any. Your God-given talent is you're alive, right? That's your God-given talent. There's no special math gene. There's no special rapping gene. There's none of that, right? All there is are people that may have a certain predisposition towards a certain element of one of the things that may be asked to do. So it appears that they have an easier time with it, right? Obviously, we have some physical gifts, right? If we're 6'8", does make it easier to dunk a basketball and potentially play for the Celtics, right? You don't have to juggle and shoot one-handed free throws, right, to get in. And that actually won't get you in. Might get you to be lucky, right? Shout out to Lucky again. But most of the stuff is hard work, dedication, and not quitting, and doing something that most other people would quit at. And that's the same for any successful career. It's the same for anybody who's any good at anything. And I think it's true for these mathematicians and these physicists. And so it's funny how people are always like, hey, let me find somebody quote unquote smart. I get that sent to me in a messenger text today, saying that I was smart. And it's like, I'm really dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really good at a couple things, right? And I'm really good at rapping, right? And I'm good at math. That's about it. That's about where it ends. There's not like a whole bunch of other special talents because I've spent so much time working on those things that there's really not a lot of time to be doing a lot of other things to get to a point of like excellence, right? And so you see a lot of math people. We're talking about this in a couple different rooms and social media apps. We're trying to get to the nature of why math sucks, right? And so the question was, why does mathematics suck? And this was a bunch of people that like math, but what we mean is like, why are there a lot of people that teach it poorly, right? Why is there not a lot of training for mathematics? Why do people leave math? Why do people say, I'm not a math person and leave, right? And then we have a deficit of people, especially underrepresented people, people of color, Black, brown, people in this country who are sorely, notoriously absent from STEM fields, right? Who could be making wonderful contributions. However, we sort of dissuade a lot of populations, especially hard, when there's a whole host of reasons why this happens. And it's what my own dissertation was centrally about. And so it's, you can research why these problems exist. And they're pretty common sense when you get down to thinking like, what are some of the barriers out there that would stop people, especially people that are already underrepresented? What would make the climate some kind of climate that's non-conducive to underrepresented people not wanting to be there, right? And just leave. There's lots of myths out there that, oh, maybe these people don't have the ability, or maybe this group doesn't have it, or maybe this, females don't have it. It's all nonsense, all right? All that stuff is silly. But people believe it because they believe the myth that, oh, we're smart, like out the gate. Like I was terrible at math when I started out. Shocked my own parents when I told them I wanted to go get a math degree. They were like, you want to get a math degree, right? Because I wasn't especially great at it. When I was little, I had some success after being teased and didn't do that well. And then I went on later and, to work at it. But I kind of put that skill down, because it wasn't really all that useful except in the math class or a few things here and there. So it was kind of like a dormant skill. And then when I got a chance and I got interested again in it through economics and understanding ebbs and flows of sort of society and economics, then I got back into it. So that's that. Yeah. And I'm sticking with that story. So there's no gene for intelligence out there. And if you think there is, I will debate you. All right. And here's how I will debate you. Right there. Boom. That's the stream to call into the show. So if you want to come on, and I know who you are, and you want to talk about it, even if you want to agree, you can agree. So that's the information to get in. I just posted it right there. So if you want to come up and talk. What I really want to get into is I really want to talk about, well, there's a few things. There's a few big things I want to talk about. One is, if you're an artist, what are you doing, or what can you do to promote yourself, especially in these crazy times, right? So for all the artists out there, what can you do to promote yourself right now? I got a few ideas, but I'd rather hear some ideas from you guys too. And here's some talks about that. Now, I know we can't really get that many responses today, only from certain places like YouTube. So you can go to our YouTube. If you're trying to talk in live, it's our YouTube page is tinyurl.com/the ProQuo Show, all one word. So that's one place that you can see us. So I don't have as many comments to be able to handle, but that's where you would go if you are trying to comment. And otherwise, what I'm trying to do is get to the point of I have these discussions all throughout the week. I have them I have them at school, I have them on social media, and I have them in real life. Right? It's like, what are artists doing right now to make up for the fact that a lot of them have lost opportunity and at larger scales have lost income, self-included. There's income to be lost, right? So what are people doing to overcome? And that's really something we want to continue talking about every week when we come on. We want to have a segment dedicated to helping artists figure out how to navigate these landscapes. So we've definitely adapted. There's been some stuff that we've done. We'd love to share some of that information, but we'd also like to hear what others are doing or hear their questions, and we'd be happy to point them in the right direction too. In the future, we're going to have my man Sin Crawford on. Sin is the CEO of Family and Friends Entertainment. And the way it goes for us with our deal, if you haven't heard it before, is we do through my imprint, which is Dime, Dotted Eye Music and Entertainment, something I started out in Cambridge. And that is carried by Freedom Corner. You see LD on here, fly a lot. So Freedom Corner brand. The Freedom Corner brand goes through Family and Friends. Family and Friends is Sin Crawford. His partner is Low Vision. They do amazing stuff in terms of publishing and collecting royalties and really teaching artists how to do it. So really want to have him on because he is a wealth of knowledge talking about all the different revenue streams that artists don't know that they're missing out on, starting from publishing, copywriting, collecting fees, whether it's placement in movies, jingles, all that kind of stuff, sound scan, just all kinds of stuff, right, that you can get. Are you collecting, sales, or I should say streams from like Pandora, right? Those kind of places. And that's a little different than say Spotify, right? So it's a different revenue source. Just a whole bunch of stuff. He really is the man. So can't wait to have him on. We were also going to have eventually on, I want to say it might be next week, but I have to check. It's either next week or the week after. So I have to double check. We have two gentlemen coming on from the Dads podcast. So I have to confirm this. We did a show with them, Quo and I. It doesn't air for a while, so it's really cool. But they're two dads, and they run an amazing podcast called the Dads Podcast, which you can find on YouTube. They do like 5,000 views a week or something like that. But it's edited, obviously, because it's not airing live, right? So we don't edit. We just roll with it, as you can tell. So that's what we got to do. Got another joint for y'all. We're going to play in a second and get it up there. A little clip. And I'm also going to share for you my Instagram post of the week. All right. So give me a second. We'll put those up. And it wasn't me shooting free throws. No, that was not it. Shout out to the Rap Poet as well. The Rap Poet. I know this is probably going to hurt us. Could sometimes shut us down, but I'm gonna try to make sure it doesn't, because I'm gonna try to play it through Instagram, so I should be okay. So shout out to somebody else coming on the show soon, which is Chip Fu of the legendary Fushnikins. Shout out to Chip. Chip, I know I got to schedule the actual date. I know I'm gonna do that because you are a legend in every sense of the word, my friend. I did an interview recently. Some of you may have heard me talking about it before. I was saying my top 5, and I was talking about Chip Fu. And Chip Fu is that guy that a lot of rappers would like to forget and like to pretend he doesn't exist because he's better than everyone, right? He's better than everyone, and you really don't hear about him all that often, right? So clearly you see, he's still doing his thing. He's got a lot of stuff up in here. But people, somehow it's out of sight, out of mind, like that he went away or something. Like, yeah, he took a little break. He's back. He's doing his thing. So he's kind of he's in people's face a little bit more now too. So I want to give you a little Chip Fu clip. I think I can play it from here. And if I get the right one, and I can't play from my thing. So he did an ad. I think this was an alcohol ad that he did. I don't drink, but hey, shout out to Chip for getting it done. So check out this. He's bad.
Tropical drink.
I was drinking Me and my team, whenever we link up, they wanna be drink up. Instead of relax and have few glasses when there's things to think about. Like I'm nice with the boss when I tend to the boss and I'm not talking drink ups. So tell the bartender that tended the bar to please pass me a big cup up. And tell that waitress is waiting on us to put a little ice in it. Now watch the ice become weightless like the spaceships that I be sitting in. No waiting, listen, no waiting for that tropical twist. That'll pick a taste bud. Now taste some. Yo, I insist it's the drizzle.
The man's a problem. That man's a problem. That's what I'm talking about. I don't care what he's promoting. It just sounds better when Chip Foo's promoting it. But yeah, man, that beats fire too. Shout out to Chip. So Chip is a monster. If you look him up on YouTube, you can find some of the best raps you'll ever see with a dude just chilling at a radio station, just going off. You know, just sitting here with a mic and just going nuts. I like to go nuts once in a while, but this man, he starts doing the rhythms. Oh my gosh, just whole nother level. So shout out to Chip Foo. I saw him post that like about a week ago, and I was like, "Yo, that's crazy." And also, I've been doing a lot of jingly kind of things too. You know, like the Ashwani Jane thing, right? I got to step my jingle game up when I listen to that, man. I'm like, "Woo, okay, yeah, that's Chip Foo, baby." I have him in top five of all time. And so people get in these conversations. I know the Big Daddy Kane thing's coming up in a couple of days. If you don't know, Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, doing the versus thing. All right. I believe it's in Brooklyn, which is crazy. Well, we were just out there. We just went by the venue and checked it out. I was out there with Fly. He wanted to see it, and we were like, "Yo!" I hadn't actually seen it either. I hadn't actually seen it too with the Nets play, and yeah, kind of a nice spot. A Russian oligarch, I believe, billionaire owns that. It was the principal owner, anyways. That's gonna be crazy. I'm the biggest Big Daddy Kane fan in the world, so goes without saying who I would like to take that. But I also love Chris. I totally respect him. I had a chance to meet him about 3-4 times, and same with Kane. Met Kane a few times too. And shout out to Lifted, who used to do live backing band stuff for me as well. Taught them some Big Daddy Kane songs to play live. Then they see Big Daddy Kane, and Big Daddy Kane's like, "You guys are dope. Want to be my band?" Crazy. So Lifted, or the offshoot of Lifted these days, shout out to Joe. Joe plays drums. They are the band still for Big Daddy Kane. Shout out to Ben. So many people to shout out, but they're his live band. So I have no idea if they're going to be involved at the thing in New Jersey. I should probably reach out to them and see if they are. That would be dope. That's what he does. You know, he rocks with the live band. I'm sure he'll bring dancers out and everything, and you know, it could be crazy. But it's going to be a great show. People are going to be in for it. And KRS-One is a problem live. He's an incredible live performer, but so is Kane, you know, and it's probably arguable who has more hits. Kane has done a lot of sort of feature things that people tend to forget about, not to mention the Symphony, which is one of the most classic songs of all time, of course. They're both on Self-Destruction, which is kind of crazy. I wonder how that'll play out. And there's just so many when you just read the discographies and see the songs that they have, and you're just like, wow. But I mean, KRS has just some certified, absolute, all-time hip-hop classic bangers, you know. And Kane has, you know, certified classics as well. But I would actually say, and keep in mind, Kane is my favorite artist, if not the favorite artist of all time. He's one of my top three, probably is on any given day. I might move him to second or third just because I'm talking about someone else, but giving them some shine because I'm such a Big Daddy Kane butt swab. But yeah, Kane's songs aren't as like household as probably The Bridge Is Over and those kind of songs. But, you know, Ain't No Half Steppin' is one of the greatest hip hop songs of all time. So there you go. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. P.S. Perkins, what's up? What's up? I can actually start to see some of these comments now, so that's cool. Let me put that one up there. Almost makes me want something. Almost, yeah, no, that's what I was thinking when I saw the ad too. I mean, it was done so well that I didn't even care what the thing was. I was like, yeah, I don't drink. But that's how you sell a product. He's just a master craftsman. That's all there is to it. I really want to play his video, but it'll shut the show down because it's on YouTube, and they'll just shut down the whole stream. So I can't really do that. I'm not really going long anyways, only going to 10 o'clock, but because you see I'm flying solo. So, and I got things to do. So I'm just trying to say hello to you before we get our popping show out next week. What does it say there? P.S. Perkins in the house. You got it. Missing us. Yeah. Shout out to P.S. Perkins. P.S. Perkins is on Final Fire. You know, P.S. Perkins, you should come on some of the interviews that we're doing. We're doing a let me see. Let me read the dates. Let me read the dates because I never remember anything. So let me get some of this up right here. I'm going to tell you live. We're using this now as like text. We are going to do. Let's see. This is real live time. Is it? Are you just like me? Everybody, you have like so many social media things you don't know where the thing was posted, right? I have no idea. All right, so let's see. All right, so they're going to play Final Fire on October 24th on a certain radio station. And I'm doing a little promo for that, actually. And we're going to do an interview. Oh, now I have to check the email about when the interview is. The interview is, well, let's see, shall we? So, P.S. Perkins, I'm doing all this just because I want you there. Let's see. This is not efficient, but I'm getting there. Getting there. Slowly but surely. All right, I think I got it. So that's 9 o'clock, October 24th. But I'm not sure. I think that might be West Coast time. So I have to double check. So it's either 9 or 6, but I can tell you soon. And yes, that's 9 Pacific, so it's 6 Eastern time. If you're around, you should jump on the call. I can get you a link to it as well. I don't know what your schedule is, but and then there's also a conference call we're doing, and that would be cool if you were there too. We can get you involved in some of these too. So if you're so interested. Because as you know, P.S. Perkins is on the end of the track. She's holding it down with the spoken word. You know what's funny? I did a track today too, and it has a spoken word at the end. But I did the rap and I did the spoken word. So and I did the hook. I was singing on the hook kind of. So it was interesting. You know what I mean? But yeah, Gary, I agree. The KRS lectures are crazy. KRS-One is definitely an interesting dude. I have nothing really negative to say about KRS-One. There's a lot of KRS-One haters. I get it. I get the people who it's not he's not your flavor. You know what I mean? I get it. As he talks like an academic professor sometimes, and you know how they can be. And he's like, I'm thinking of, he postulates a lot, but he's dope. And he can just go on a train of thought. He doesn't need notes. He just goes on and on and on. He's a wealth of information. The guy is a well-read machine. Let's just say that. Shout out to Freedom Corner and P.S. Perkins. If I can, I know I will. You bring us all. Set me up. Cool. Yeah. And if you're looking for the video, P.S. Perkins, I don't forget, there's 2 videos out there of it. There's the self-generated one from the Sony Orchard. And then there's the one that we posted through our page. If you go to tinyurl.com/the ProQuo Show. And it doesn't matter which one you play. I'm just letting you know that there's 2 there. So one of them has a few hundred plays, and I think the other has like a few thousand. I think the Sony one has a lot less, probably like 10 times less, because that's the auto-generated one that we don't really promote as much. So that's good to know. Yeah, good to know. Gary, this is a funny thing, man. I've done about 120 college shows and / lectures, and where I perform and rap at them. And I patterned those off of some of the stuff I saw KRS-One do early. One of the first shows that Fee and I ever did as Excalibur was a college show that KRS was at. Learned a lot from his stage show. Just learned so much, right? Then we did a show with him again at the channel. We did a show with him again at Holy Cross in Boston, Worcester. And he filmed a video for us too. We lost the video too. We had a video with, this is just one style out of many. And he's there doing it with us. He's like, this is just one style. He's so cool. Did all that stuff. But watching him speak, I didn't really get a chance to do that early. I'd only see him perform. But, he'd stop his show and talk. And that's something that I do. I perform, and I'm always like trying to interact, right? Trying to find out where people are at, and trying to make them interactive. I play them for like my people and stuff like that a lot. Like I don't really have that many of the videos. I probably only have like 12, but because it's usually just me going there, and a lot of times I roll dolo and there's no video person to stay cheap and competitive. But his thing, like I saw that in an early age, and I was like, yeah, I could picture myself doing that. And so I've kind of patterned a lot of what I do after him and Chub Rock, who I saw at Harvard when I was a kid. I saw him talking about having a master's degree and speaking at Harvard, and I thought that was incredible. And I was like, yeah, what's a master's? So I was like, I need to figure out what this master's thing is and figure out how to get one. And no joke. So I thought that was cool that a rapper had a master's. So there you go. And I don't know why more rappers don't try to present and speak. You don't have to have a master's to speak. KRS-One has no degree of any kind that I know of. It's just what you're about, right? How entertaining it can be and how informative, and any combination of the two. So that's really it. So yeah. Shout out to Freedom Corner. Freedom Corner is the brand. Freedom Corner been putting in that work. Jay putting in that work. There's a lot of J's in our world. There's like 3 J's in the Freedom Corner brand world. But shout out to them. Hit me up with a instrumental bed to a beat that M. Dot had produced for us, and we used that sort of foundation to create something new that was in that same vein. So M. Dot and Legendary doing the production of the music. LD, of course, running point on a lot of those things, and we've been doing the rapping and the mixing of it today, and that's going to be in a movie. So I just signed the contract yesterday, so we got a movie placement song, so that's really cool. Really great people. Shout out to all of the people that I've got a chance to meet over the last few months in the placement world, in the sync world. Those can be like from like $1,000 to like, $1 million, or as people like to say, $500 to $500,000. So that's all about the relationships and just meeting people and doing what you say and working hard, and those little details, like we're reading in that book earlier, like doing the boring stuff. There's a lot of boring stuff with that too. That's not so much shine, but it's good stuff. And that's, that kind of answers one of the questions we were asking earlier. What are artists doing to kind of, make up for that revenue sort of shortfall? Oh yeah, I said I was going to play a song. So speaking of which, I made one for a pitch, but it was over $200,000, and the song actually got accepted. That I submitted doesn't mean it's going to be in the movie. This is a different one, and shout out to all the people that have been helping us with that. And it just got in the door, so meaning it was submitted from the agent who sent that in. Meaning like, yeah, this fits the bill. I could see this getting placed. So that's the biggest hurdle. You have to have somebody who's willing to present it, and then whether you're talking directly to the director, like I'm doing on the one today, or whether you're talking to a music supervisor, sort of a middle person sometimes between and then scoring folks, and there's just so many people, but so many people involved in that world, and we're really at the tip of the iceberg of doing that. But if you write fast and you have good producers around and stuff like that, that is a great way for artists to make up for the fact that you can't really do many live shows right now. But what you can be doing is you can get a relatively cheap setup like this, the microphone like that. That's a decent microphone, sort of a soundproof setup, and or at least pretty close to soundproof, and with a little program skill, or you can do some stuff that is probably a decent quality, as a lot of you I'm sure do. But think about trying to get yourself in the sync markets. It's a lot of work in terms of meeting people, and they have to, believe in your ability and have somewhat of a track record and just a decent personality. I don't think you need any of those things. I think it just helps. So that's that. Reading some of these comments here. Sending love on Indeed, man. Gary, thank you. Pro salute to you becoming a teacher. Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Or should I say professor? Yeah. Here's a quick thing on that. Like, there's no a teacher's a teacher, right? The level you're at, this is one of the things we're talking about why math sucks. So in this room the other day, we have this belief that like professor means something like super special, right? It is cool, right? It's a cool title. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's no real qualification to become a professor. Like people think that there's some like, whoa, it's higher than teacher, so there must be. It's not actually that. It's just the name that's given to people who are teaching in college, right? And there's different levels, and that usually has to do with pay and tenure and so forth. There's a million names you can call people who quote unquote are professors, right? It's a lot of different words that kind of students aren't aware of. It could be lecturer. I mean, I could have you chime in, P.S. Perkins. You could tell us all these words too, right? Some of you guys know the academic world is lecturer. What am I forgetting? Harvard is hilarious when they want to use the non-tenure track words, especially when they're trying to use current grad students. They'll call them, I just forgot the word. What are they called? Oh, not proctors, preceptors. That's a funny word, preceptor, right? You're not going to hear that at many places. Preceptor, that's like the lowest in the food chain. Instructor, lecturer, senior lecturer. There's what I was at Northeastern, which is a teaching professor. It basically means you don't really have a research component. So I was an assistant teaching professor. I've been an assistant academic specialist, which is another fancy way of saying a teacher without tenure. Now I'm an associate professor, like tenure track for whatever that means. You're on track to be like tenured theoretically. That's a whole circus depending where you're at. So yeah, there's all these levels or whatever, but none of them have anything to do when you get in with your teaching ability. It's just you either have the knowledge in the field or you don't, and someone hires you. And then they dub you are a professor. There's no like, it's not like there's courses and stuff. I mean, I do facilitate training courses, but they're not mandatory. You know, they're sort of like volunteer. You take them, you get sort of a badge and a credential that you are an effective college teacher or whatever. But the whole idea of being a professor is not much different than being a teacher. In fact, being a teacher, I think, is much harder. Personally, like when I was teaching K-12, I thought it was a much harder grind. Classes back to back to back, no time to breathe. You know, students really are involved in your everyday life. And, you know, whereas faculty in college is a little bit more spread out and spaced out, and you're kind of a little bit more independent. You're not really have to cling to the school like the teachers do. You don't have a minute. So it's definitely different. Yeah, Fly, shout out to you. Yeah, it's not done, but the song's not done, but it's almost there. I've been working on it. We're mixing it. And I did want to play a piece of the one we submitted. I got my wife singing on it. So we submitted to one thing. I don't know if it'll get in or not. If it doesn't, I'll submit it somewhere else, maybe change the lyrics a little bit. And that's the kind of stuff you can do with placement songs. So let's play a little piece of this one. And not Jane for Governor. Let's play. There it is. I like this song a lot. I really do. So the call for this song was very basic. There was only a couple of details given. That means like the brief for it just said a couple things. And I wrote to that the same day and submitted it the next day. And, you know, hopefully it gets in. If it doesn't, no harm, no foul. It was fun making the song. All right. So here we go. And that's the attitude you have to have. You have to be cool with, just like math, you have to be cool with quote unquote failure, right? Not getting the gig. It's all right. You do the next one. As long as you like it, it's not a big deal. This one's called Greener. It's me featuring Love Jones, which is my wife.
Professor Lyrical, Love Jones.
Also, shout out to Larcy Vegas on the production of this one. Crazy production.
Yeah.
The lyrical mixtape.
We know the other half, how they live bubble baths. A life in luxury, comfortably with no troubles had. I always wondered, had I lived on the other side, would I be the same me or some other guy? When I was a kid, I kicked that ball up high over the wall, but overall I was scared to say hi. Scared of what I might find and who I possibly meet. On the street, head down, I used to stare at my feet. Now I found my swag and I ain't scared to compete. Now I'm all about the bag whenever I'm tearing these beats. Fans in the seats, they come and see me lacing my cleats. Since they've all been over the wall, it's like my call is complete. Promise to keep my word and speak my positive peace. Since I know I was totally honest, all I've wanted to be. Just the best I can be, so ain't nobody have to wonder why. So somebody else can find it greener on the other side.
It's always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
It's always greener on the other side. Greener. Oh, greener.
Yeah.
It's always greener on the other side.
Sure is.
It's always greener on the other side. Greener. Oh, greener.
Listen, it's cause and effect. Y'all can load the cards in the deck, but you can't fool fate. Gotta show some respect. You gotta respect that everything we thought was correct was possibly wrong. That's why we show songs to perfect. It's hard to accept that all we are is dust in the wind. Because as a kid, we always felt that's in the wind. So now if we lose, think it's just paying our dues. Stay faithful, cause we ain't got nothing to prove. Life is fate-filled. Each and every choice we choose, stay grateful. Humbly keep making our moves. Awake when we snooze. Organizing thoughts and our dreams, switching perspectives, cause everything is not as it seems. It seems every bad thing is good in disguise. So I stay patient, don't hate or despise. Despite what I may think, I'm keeping my demeanor. Even if when over the other side is still looking greener, baby.
It's always greener on the other side.
Sure is.
It's always greener on the other side. Greener.
Yeah,
Oh,
love
greener.
Jones, baby.
It's always greener on the other side.
It's always greener.
It's always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Greener. Oh, greener.
Yeah, there it is. So there's some greener. I had to let that play a little longer. Doing some texting. But yeah, thanks. That's Love Jones. Love Jones, baby. So that one, right? To really, I really want to, say this to people. I've been working on trying to do sync literally for years and just haven't done it. Didn't have a room set up to record. COVID kind of forced me into that. I'm recording the album with Quo, and I was doing a couple other singles as well. And I was like, all right, let me make the small investment to go do it. But I didn't want to be in here all the time. I didn't want to be sitting there recording whatever, because I wasn't thinking, like, well, I am still sitting here all the time, right? Like I wasn't necessarily thinking that that it would be worth my while, let's put it that way, to stay, because I'm thinking school's going to go back, right? Then once school's back, it's going to be harder and I have more hours there or whatever. But school hasn't been fully back. It's only just starting to get there for so many of us. And so many of like your work, you didn't go back to your work way longer than you thought you were. So what are you going to do with the extra time, especially just time you save on traveling, right? The downtime there. So I'm like, yeah, that does give me extra hours. Now, son is back to school and, I'm only partially, and, all this extra time, and we're like, bottom line, right? And we're like, okay, it does make sense, right? I was always content just writing raps, going to the studio now and then, doing most of the same ones that I've recorded, and then doing the ones that I haven't recorded. There's hundreds that I just know off the top of my head. Like I have thousands of songs memorized. It's so hard to just remember which ones I have unless I write down the first word of them all. So many of them I just don't perform, right? So I just write all the time and have been writing for like 30 years. So it's also automatic for me to write. Like I wrote the rhyme for this one I'm doing today. I mean, I wrote it in like 10 minutes, and it's not to say I'm being cheesy with it. It's just that like anything, you get better at it the more you do, right? So now what I really want to get across to people is that, like, even though I'm just at the tip of the iceberg, we're really just starting this. There are people who've been doing this stuff for years and they live well, placing songs in movies. So the question becomes, why aren't we telling more artists about this? I've been saying it for 10 years and really haven't been showing improving either until, this forced me out of my shell. The first thing is, do I really want to record over, beats that maybe I'm thinking in my head aren't as cool as the ones I want to record on, because most of them had samples, right? So I'm like, you know what? The next album I do, I said this when I made my last album, I said, I'm going to do no samples. And sure enough, we did the ProQuo album, and we still had about 5 or 6 songs on there that do have samples, but we have enough of them that we're able to say, hey, check out this song. Maybe you can get this one placed, or get in the door to have another one there. And we're really trying to continue down that conveyor belt of thinking. And so from a label standpoint with LD, we talk about it all the time, and Fly, and really a lot of our producers that we work with too, like, hey, if you guys, I got other artists in the wings that are vocalists, singers, performers that I've worked with for years. Some of who I think are some of the best artists I've ever heard in my life. And we're just like, imagine if we joined up. You know what I mean? So why aren't more artists doing this? What do we have to do to get more artists to do this? Because I think a lot more people would be eating well if they kind of committed to it. Speaking of eating well, I think that's LD. LD, you in the building?
My guy.
Man, I always forget you in the link, man. I forget you're not a messenger guy. So then I look at my phone and I'm like, oh man, LD.
We had such a crazy week in NY, man, that my phone is so full, believe it or not. I can't even download Messenger on it. I got 2 new ones today, so I'm gonna make a transition real soon. I'll send you my new joints, but yeah, man, I can't even download Messenger, man. That's how much we got going on. But what's up, man?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I can't keep up with all the I've always been kind of like that. Like I've always I have to, like, it'd be like lunchtime or something, and I'll say, let me go sit down. I get excited, right? On a Tuesday, I'll say, let me go sit down and go through my actual messages, right? And that sounds kind of weird, but it's like what happens when you have 7 different accounts, right? And you live multiple lives, right? You do the music thing, you do the whatever we do, we all do multiple things. You know what I mean? In this day and age, and so it's crazy. And I don't know how people can do it and stay so FLY. I just don't know how they can do it. Oh, hey, look at that! Look at the coincidence.
Bro, you already know it's a juggling act.
Oh man, it's all about the juggling, baby. I did the juggling for you, man. I put the juggling video up there for you.
Yeah, we saw you, bro.
See the juggling? I didn't know if you knew of my juggling, but it was not a world-class juggle, but it was 3 basketballs, so it was fun. So,
Impressive. I didn't know you had juggling. I didn't know you had juggling. I knew you had juggling skills, but I didn't know you had juggling skills. You feel me?
It's funny. My aunt, I don't know if you saw the comment. My aunt hits me up, right? And she hits me up and she goes, "Oh, I didn't know you could juggle." And I'm like, "You bought me the juggling balls." So it's my aunt bought me a little set of colorful juggling balls when I got my first apartment. She was like, "Oh, this would be a bachelor gift," and she got me. It's my mother's youngest sister. She got me these, and so I sat there and I just juggled every day. I was like, "Oh yeah, let me figure this out," right? And I had really huge ceilings, and I was like, I'll probably be okay at juggling. I get the general idea, and I didn't get it the first week. I was like, what am I doing? And I just put them down, and then I was like, you know what? I'm sitting down today, just like I was talking about emails. I'm sitting down for 20 minutes, and I'm figuring this thing out. And then I got it, and so then you just gotta crack the code, and everybody can juggle. So let's all teach everybody how to juggle. Right? It's relaxing. I don't know what it is about juggling. Like, man, y'all juggle? Anybody?
Nah, bro. Only life juggles.
Something I like about it. The little ones, you just sit there like all day and just sit. Once you get it, you get it. You know what I mean? You can be in the zone and do like a couple 100 times, but basketball's not so much.
I can see that. I can see that though.
Let me stop where I was. I had my luck. I was like, let me shoot these in. But
you made your free ones though. That's all that matters.
That's right, man. I'm up to about 20. I'm up to about 21 handed that I can do, and I can do about 50 with 2 hands before I miss on a good day. But sometimes, I'll get to like 15 and then I'll miss. I'm like, and then what I do is I start doing one-handed because I have my elbow sticks out when I shoot a lot, but when I do one-handed, I remember to keep it in. So I actually probably shoot a little better, I think, with one hand, and then if I do it, then just touch the other hand, then I feel like I can get them in for a lot. But does not translate to my game though. Does not necessarily mean the game is as strong as the free throws. So that's all I'm saying.
Bro, I'm thinking like you really full court pressing it out there. Then when you go on to the gym. It's at the school, right?
No. That video that I did was just at my gym. My gym is at the end of the street. It's like 300 meters down, and it's open 24/7. 24/7 has a full court basketball court. So you can never get on the court though, because there's like 300 people there at all times, except when I'm there in the morning or really, really late at night. So if I'm there at like 7 in the morning, then yeah, it's me. I actually walked down there with 3 people on there. I was like, come on, are you serious? And I thought they were going to ask me. I thought they were going to ask me to play. I was like, please do not ask me to play 2-on-2. Can't you tell I'm busy and I need to juggle? and shoot one-handed free throws. I mean, can't you see I have priorities? You know what I'm saying? So, Fly, man.
Priorities.
You
Talk
heard what
to
LD
me.
and I were talking about, man. Just trying to keep it all straight. I feel like at the time when we were in New York, it was like we were spending so much time trying to go through our messages and contact people, right? Like that's
right?
It's a new phenomena for me. The first time I've ever been to New York where I spent so much time realizing that I don't actually have the real phone numbers of most of the people that I know.
Just know people on social media, man.
Yeah, bro. And if they're not there, it's like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then everything comes after the fact. So there's like a gazillion messages out there. Hey, missed you, blah, blah, blah. Let's do this interview. Let's do this. You know, it's like, okay, thanks. Would have been
That's
cool.
usually how it goes.
Did a few more while we were there.
Technology, man, has ruined us, man. It's got us. You remember when you used to have to memorize phone numbers?
Yeah.
And or some recently I just noticed that time when your favorite show was on and you and your sister or you and your brother or your best friend was in the crib watching TV and your favorite show was on, but you had to go to the restroom or somebody had to go get the snacks and the juice. And you could hear them screaming from the living room, "It's back on!" And you darting, you jumping over the couch and everything. And now you just pause it. Yep. There's no adrenaline associated with today's television. You miss the adrenaline that's added to it, and the idea that you can't watch 24 episodes in a row if you want to binge on. There was no binging when I was growing up.
I don't know if I'm mad at that. I get what you're saying. I can hear the pain in your voice. You know what I'm saying? I can hear. I'm just not sure that I like. Here's the thing, right? I love things that do save me time. That feel like I'm cheating life, right? And so, being able to rewind and fast forward, and watch the highlights of a football game, for instance, right? Like watch the whole game condensed and just watch the offensive team play. I mean, these kind of things that like I would have paid big money to do when I was a kid if it existed. So I would have rather not had that experience and been born right into this generation. I'm telling you, man, I'm good with
but
that.
I can feel the time saving aspect. You know, I feel that. But pausing it don't necessarily save you time. You know what I'm saying?
No, pausing doesn't. But it actually, what I do though is when I miss something, like when I'm teaching or watching a video or something, I'll be like, "Oh, what did he say?" And I tell my students all the time, "You can put me on pause." You know, like so you recorded my video of me doing some crazy math or whatever. You're like, "What did he say?" Pause me, right?
Yeah.
And I catch myself. I said this on a show once. I said I catch myself trying to stop the radio in my car. You ever done that? Try to pause the radio
all the time.
It's no pause, bro. It's like it ain't there.
There's no.
But why isn't it? Why isn't it? Why is there no pause on the radio?
Yeah, I find myself when I finally do turn on the tube, bro. I find myself because of these new features. I find myself taking 45 minutes to watch a 30-minute show because you do miss stuff.
Yeah.
Because your mind goes somewhere else. You just end up rewinding and you watch it again. What did I miss? And you pause it and you go do something. You come back and the show is just right where you left it. So
yeah,
part of it's jealousy. Yeah, part of it's jealousy that we didn't have some of the luxuries that they have in today's generation, but overall, man, I was excited, man, about next week. I was excited about the following week, man, to catch my favorite episode of, whatever it was I was watching.
I'm excited about Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One in the versus battle.
Bro, why that didn't happen last weekend?
I know. Wasn't that ever crazy? We were there.
We drove past Barclays.
We're like,
twice.
This would be a cool place to do a show. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, I've been up and down that street many, many times when there was no venue there. So it's weird, I was like, I actually don't remember what was there. I want to say there was a restaurant there, but I don't remember. I'm terrible with that. Like we got a new Silver Diner and a Harris Teeter, which is like a grocery store here. A little place, one of these live work kind of community things, right? Where they build it out real pretty, kick out all the people who can't afford it. I just don't remember what was there before. It's like, it ain't there.
Yeah, it's a unique little spot too. When you see it, it doesn't, and it may have just been the angle, but it could be because it's towered or surrounded by a lot of those larger buildings that it doesn't look like a huge NBA arena.
Yeah,
but
shout out to Jeff De La Rosa and Al McFarlane. Shout out to Al McFarlane. He's a legend. Al, if you're watching, I told you got to get on the show. Al has one of the longest running Boston hip hop shows. It was called Sweetie's Entertainment. He's doing stuff for years down at BNN. Just amazing stuff. And the vault he must have, it's got to be crazy. Shout out to him. Sorry, man. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no doubt.
Yo, I'm putting this here for Tree. Now, Tree, Tree is one of our most loyal watchers. So if she's not watching, there's definitely something going on. She was probably thrown off by my late start. And my lack of a link that actually went to the real link. It's a long story. But anyways, I'm going to post this picture. Speaking of the idyllic life, right? Talking about these new live, eat communities. And I'm going to post this picture. And I'm just going to post it for the people. And this is going to help Tree because I know someone's going to know. It might be you, Fly. Little game here. So we're going to post this picture. And we're going to see what I'm posting. There it is. And you can see Tree's comments over on the right-hand side of the paper, right? You can see this?
No, barely. But
she said, beautiful picture. What is it? And I'm like, oh, can't tell you. I'm like, nope. She's like, why can't you tell me? I'm like, nope.
Why does this look familiar?
Probably does look familiar. I don't know. There's probably something. Maybe I've showed it to you before. I don't know. I can't tell you, but there's something special about that. Where that is or something about it. Just something unique about that. And I don't know who's gonna know. I know LD is coming back in the building, so let's see. Maybe LD knows. LD, any idea what's going on in this?
Blow it up, bro. Make it bigger.
All right.
Because you making me feel like it's something in the details now.
It's not really in the details. No, I'll tell you. You don't really have to. I mean, it's sort of. I mean, this in a way, but there's nothing you have to like really squint for or anything like that.
Yeah.
Anyone know?
It's because it's obvious.
No, someone's gonna know. It's gonna be obvious to someone, but it's not gonna be obvious to. It either is or it isn't.
Right.
So I'll wait to see who can figure out what that is.
I have no idea. There's no hints. There's no clues.
There are none. Yeah, you get no clues. I mean, you could read the original post where I said to her over here in the comments. I was like, no, there's something about it. It has something to do with popular culture in some way.
Does it look gentrified?
Well, it certainly does look gentrified, doesn't it? This might be the ultimate example of gentrification. But you know what it is? If you look here, did you notice, like, obviously it looks like it's on a hill, right? And there's the city behind it, right?
I see the city behind it. Right. I see the hill.
What's interesting is this is a cul-de-sac right there. And it's like
up at the top, yeah.
They got their own little cul-de-sac. Yeah. But they got the tree, they got everything, Shout out the tree. I'll just gonna leave that there for a little bit and see if who knows. So we gotta put some money on that. Be like, whoever knows wins $1.
Bro, that's a lot. That's to me. It's so much context in that picture, man.
There is. It's an amazing picture, though. What it represents is amazing too. In some ways, in other ways, it's terrible. I'm only saying that to make it confusing. I'm sure
exactly. It's working. It's working.
Absolutely. So what's new, man? What's good? What's up,
man? Of course, working with L, man, trying to come up with a reason or excuse, man, to drive down to New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, and try to get something popping, man. But of course, I'll let him talk about that when he's ready. But man, I have found myself, we were talking about all last week, man, just the dilemma I had as far as career move.
Yes.
And so, man, it's just got harder to make a decision.
Don't be talking about that on a public show, man. You don't want to be get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean?
No, man. You don't want the word speaking. I'm keeping it vague.
You're a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Can't be letting them know.
I'm keeping it vague. Just decision is. That's been the week though, bro. That's been the week.
I figured it was
in that bubble, man. It's just been going back and forth. I've been back and forth between places.
Similar for me, by the way. Just certain things going on that I have to inform you on.
Yeah. So that's been occupying me mentally all week long. But of course, with the newness, with the gig, professionally, still learning some stuff, trying to kind of feel my way. We got that additional 40 employees, man. And so that's a challenge, man. And I was gonna ask you about that too, man, because I know work environments or workplace culture has a lot to do with the stress level or just
Sure
how
does.
you approach your job every day. And so just, I wouldn't say a lot like being a teacher, but you know, when you walk in as a teacher, you know, everybody's kind of looking to you, you know, for direction, for guidance or whatnot, and it's kind of everybody's attention's on you. So I can imagine like that's just probably, it can be overwhelming for some people. You know what I'm saying? When a group of people has your undivided attention for a length of time and they're hanging on every word that you say. And so for me, being pulled in 100 different places, man, it's everything that I imagined I was going to hate about it. Hate's a strong word, but that I felt
Not
was
enjoy.
going to be stressful about it. Yeah, that I felt, because I guess I actually do enjoy what I do. I love what I do. But it's been stressful, man. It's because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed.
Yep.
It's just systemic stuff, you know.
I think the it's easy, and trust me, I'm right there with you. But I would say a lot of our best practices to not be stressed, we somehow find a way to say, well, yeah, that's for other people, but not, you don't understand, my job is my job. You know, we all have a reason why we leave some of our best practices at the door. Like, we know like what we should be doing a lot of times, but we don't do it. Like, it's like, are you actually taking a lunch that's not at your desk?
Right.
You know, and why not? Right. And if that is the culture of the workplace that you're in, why is that acceptable? Right. Are you answering emails from your boss, you know, at 11 o'clock at night, you know, or are you the person sending them, you know, and the web that creates when you do that, it just spins and spins and spins. And then everyone goes, oh, well, Fly sent the message. Well, it must be okay. So I'm going to send it.
Must be okay.
No, it's just one, just now and then. And, you know, I think boundaries definitely can go a long way if you really establish them and have a discussion on it at your workplace and be like, look, health and wellness is now more important than ever. What are the things that are making people, like, why would someone leave? Right. And, you know, there's the old adage that people don't leave jobs, they leave their managers, right? They like, and definitely. I don't believe that to be true. I mean, I've left wonderful managers that had nothing to do with them, but I know in general that tends to be true for a lot of people. Like, it's your boss that can make your life miserable. In my world of higher ed, it's not typically your boss. I mean, it can be. I've had people who have been like right above me or think they're above me or whatever that, you know, have basically made my life miserable for a while. That's the worst, right? When someone thinks they're your boss and it's like, excuse me, ma'am, I don't report to you, or you know, or sir, like, you know, like, we've all had that, you know. It's like someone talks to you, they use those code words like, I need you to do this. Like, you need me to do what? Like, you would like me to do, or you want me to do. You don't need me to do anything. Like, you're not my dad. You know what I need you to do? I need you to clean your room. My dad can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to volunteer you.
Yeah, volunteer you. Yeah, right. You know, I need you to get that paper. You need me to get the paper? Like, yeah, I need you to think about what you just said. Is what I need you to do.
Yeah, man, you're right about best practices. Those are all things that are very high on my list, man. I believe wholeheartedly, and you know, I guess I probably could be better about taking a designated break. I don't do it at the same time every day, but I make sure that I'll take some time.
Yeah.
Kind of away.
So it's the rap that I say so often, the spoken word one that I say, is dedicated to workplace culture. That's the sub thing of the tone. When I say the whole, you know, if you listen to it really slowly, I'm saying all the things that we do in our workplace because we have this little voice in our head telling us that we think that that's the culture, or we think that we have to. And a lot of times it's not the rule. And that's what I say in there. I have to speed up to it in my head. I'm trying to go through the words. Can't admire you. I can now place my rhyme. Think about the future. I'm getting there.
Man.
So here is what I've tried to do. Find the right attire to convey to you my passion goes beyond a simple tire tube. I'd rather find a tire tube. Slip and slide on a ride or two at a water park, but I'm not going to start. Just act like I'm required to take the 2 weeks paid on some vacation in the shade, then act like I am something other than a modern slave. Of course, there are no chains. I'm not the great in that reality. I'm just simply pointing out we all are jumping over salaries. So, but where's the liberation, right? when our vocation or a trade is so totally consuming, we consume from where we're paid, like we eat our lunch at our desk, where we're still afraid to break the chains of our oppressors. And it starts for me each day when I place my chain upon the dresser, right? It's these dress code things that we think we have, right? Will I reach for something boring? Or, I say, well, sport coat and the sweater, right? Like, will it be the snapback and the Jordans or the sweat? Like that's the whole line that I say, right? Because every day I want to wear the snapback and the Jordans, but maybe I should go with the sport coat or the sweater. Sometimes we let our voices in our head become our bosses that tell us how to think and act and dress inside our office. The point I hope I'm making is the bondage can be mental, and it trickles down to rappers choosing words and instrumentals because we act like we're compelled to follow rules and make decisions based on policies and codes that oftentimes were never written, just to fit inside a mold that we have cast upon ourselves, some cookie cutter template that we bury on our shelves, bury in our souls inside a shell of our true selves that we rarely show to others for fear of losing wealth. That whole thing is just the office rap, basically.
It is, bro, and it's perfect. It perfectly defines the stigmas associated with workplace environments. So how do you suggest one combats that? Because I have recently discussed a proposal in one of the presentations that I made, the dilemma I was telling you about.
Yep.
Of course, we was together when I got the call Thursday, and I've seen cultures where people are, well, I don't want to say people, but just the culture in general. They want you to feel enslaved, subjugated at all times. And sometimes I feel like that's a mistake, but it depends on a group of people that you have. There's a certain group of people or a certain demographic within the workplace that can make the liberty that you want staff to have, they can mess it up for everyone. And so you find yourself being more strict or matter of fact with policies and dress codes or guidelines, just so you can maintain some kind of that functionality. I don't want to use the word order. That sounds, too much enslaved like. Yeah, it does. But you want to maintain. You don't want it to be chaotic, right? You just try to avoid the chaos and one half of the people going one way and other half people going the other direction. So you want to just try to maintain some kind of functionality within the workplace, but some people just take it and they ruin it. And I would rather than work people 3 12-hour shifts. I think people would be good with like four 10-hour work days and 3 days off. I think that'd be really good for the culture. So just presenting stuff like that, and it sparked some discussions this week.
And more working from home, maybe, if that's doable too.
Yeah, more working from home, which that's inevitable now because, like you said, workplace environment made it so matter of fact that you got to show up at the office in order to be productive. And if COVID has exponentially increased a lot of things that we thought was going to take X amount of years to get there, but
which is crazy, right? Like taking flights to go do conferences for no reason. We've always been able to.
Right, we can just jump on the phone.
Zoom's not new, Zoom. You know what I mean? Yeah. Zoom's been out for what, 15 years? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this ain't new,
But so I will say that in-person interaction though is exponentially more effective, in my opinion.
It just depends what the nature of your job is, because for me, it's less effective. I can name you the kinds of jobs and the kinds of things that it's less effective, but I agree with you that there are certainly scores of ones that it is. Especially when you're starting up new business or you're working with new customers or patients or whatever it is, where that looking the person in the eye is very important. But there's a lot of workarounds. There's a lot of workarounds that we can do with tech. But I agree. It's like, obviously, like it's funny. Like we talk about this all the time. I'm not really a people person. I'm in a people person position. And
all the time, bro.
I'm much rather leave me alone is really like the ultimate. Like I don't mean that I don't like the people that work with is cool, but I don't want to meet strangers. Like I'm not a meet stranger kind of guy, right?
Right.
I have no interest in meeting a stranger, and that's because of how I was raised and all that kind of stuff. And it's my default. So for me to meet someone, I'd much rather meet you online. That's just my default. I'm not a people person. I'm really not. someone like Quo's a people person. Like, he got to meet the person. He's gonna be, he's like, hey, what's going on? He loves you, and he's like, it's like, I want to be more like him. You know what I mean? But it's that's just not my default. I see someone coming towards me that I don't know, and I generally have anxiety about it. I'm saying? Like, I'm like, oh, is this person, like, you heard me, right? I was like, oh, these people are gonna ask me to play. Like, please don't talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, leave me alone. And that's awful, but that's how I'm wired. So
no, bro, that's like you was mentioning about just genetics or our assumption that there's this plethora of special gifts out there.
Yeah.
And the same thing kind of applies to, you have a capacity as a human being.
Yeah.
And so I believe every day, every decision, and I hate to make it sound so exact or precise, like, life's that technical, because it's not that technical, you know what I mean? But I believe because you have a capacity that you have to be selective about how you distribute that capacity. You know what I'm saying? And just like a basic Instagram photo dump, like you prioritize like these pictures. All right, I'm just gonna do something with them because I had to make room for something else. And so for some of us, in order to be effective in this area, whether it's, artistically or professionally or whatever it is, you usually have, I don't want to say insufficiencies, but you usually just reserve that energy or that time or that capacity in other areas. And it might come from your social life. And so I believe it's all necessary for us to be the person that we're, purposed to be.
Yeah.
And just being around you and watching you function like iRobot,
you're fine.
I don't see how you have time for us. See how you have time for a social life. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, man. I always feel the same way too. It's just like, and for me, it's just the occupancy. Like, I have a huge family too, so it takes a lot of my time. Really, honestly, I can go 24 hours a day and have something to do and not have a job. It can just be, I can just be specifically focused on my house, my wife, and my kids.
And you're good.
Because the size of my family, and that will occupy a whole day, every day. And so then you want to try to add other stuff to it, like a career, a passion. You know what I mean? Gym routine. It's just like I can't do everything. Something's going to have to. So I'm just not going to be this extra social person.
This is actually why for years, my antisocial self not wanting to do any kind of group stuff. I did ex-Cal. My best friend Phoebe. That's about as much as you're going to pull out of me, right? Like, working with somebody who's like your friend first, right? We were friends before we were making a rap group, right? So that makes sense for me. But we had multiple members in that group, all who were friends. And I don't like moving parts and I don't like variables. So, pun intended, being a math guy.
A math.
No, I don't. But I eliminate variables. If there's a variable, I can get so frustrated. I've been working on these kind of songs and these things or whatever. The more people I have to deal with, that it's like, oh man, now I got to wait for this. I got to wait for that. I got to wait for this. I got to wait. There could be 15 people on one track that only has me on it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's like licensing people, there's directors, there's beat makers, there's people who, made a part of the song, or there's someone who had a video idea and you were trying to sync it with it. And then there's label people. And it's like, man, these are like, if I was just all of those people, I could just get it done really fast, right? It's not that I don't like the people. It's that I don't want to have to be on this schedule. I get anxious about it. And I'm like, because my time is so small for what I have to work on. And it's self-imposed. I've made it so my time is so small. Obviously I have like way smaller family than you, right? So it's not like my family's making me that much busier. You're clearly going to be more busy from that end, right? But it's the I'm so used to packing so much in my free time because I'm not big on the social life, so it isn't, there's a reason why I'm like that. It's because I'm packing my downtime with stuff that's productive, because the thing that makes me tick is I like productivity. But the reason I probably like it is because I'm an only child, right? I'm not the most social person in the world. So if you leave me to do project-based stuff that I rely on myself on, I'm used to not letting myself down. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to getting a lot done in a short amount of time, you know. Like I feel like if there was a camera on me, it would help people who don't think the way I think understand me. And I would like to see that same camera on other people who function differently. Because there are some people who go through life, you see them, they are the most carefree people in the world. They're super happy. And I'm like, what are they doing?
What
that they have,
are they
you know? Yeah, like how do you find, you know, and don't get me wrong, I can find time to sit on the couch. I mean, I haven't done it in months, but like literally, but I mean, I had a run there where I was like, hey, I wonder what's on Netflix tonight. You know what I mean? Like I can veg out. It's not that I can't. Once I get in that zone, I can definitely do that. But I feel myself overcompensating, and it's like, okay, now I need to, you know, because I, you know, go too hard a little bit. So I want to know what the people who have the real balance do. And actually, P.S. Perkins is a good person for that. She's into communications, and she's a communications expert, and she's into those kind of, you know, organizational kind of things that help people function and think about wellness and stuff. So she's probably a good person to tap for that too. But I know my process is not exactly quote unquote the healthy one for most people, you know. Because I'll just go for 15 hours and be like, oh, hey, look, it's 3 a.m. Like, who knew? You know. But
yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true. Yeah, man, it's a challenge. The balance thing is almost fleeting, man. It's almost like trying to catch a unicorn.
Yeah.
Because I guess we probably all seek balance in some way.
Here's my balance. We're getting off the show at 10:45. That's going to create a balance.
Let's do it.
I said 10
I'm gonna make
before
sure
you came on, but only because you came again.
It's 9:39, 10:39 your time.
10:39.
So, but yeah, man, no, it's definitely an opportunity, man, to really just focus. So, what you want to lead the people with, man? How do you advise people who are tapped into their chi, so to speak? They know what it is they want to do. They know what it is they want to use their productivity on. Tying it into just the workplace environment. How do you help people develop a culture where they're prioritizing the things that are productive, but also finding a way to break away from those confines of, you know, just being so strained all the time and strapped for time, and actually finding time to try to seek that balance?
Well, I mean, I always think when people define a problem, they're sort of stating the solution. You know, it sounded like you were actually proposing the solution in the way, part of the way that you were saying that. So I always find it interesting how people state the problem, because it's an implied, you know what the problem is, which kind of means you're on the path towards the solution. So some of what you said, or what it sounded like, was if you're going to try to think of ways to create a system that works and it creates a better culture, I think it's always important that it's, first of all, it's you and a person who has more cachet than you, if such a person exists, is clearly on board with that. Because I think what happens is whoever reports to us, or whoever, you know, looks to us as a sign of authority, they sometimes get used to us. You know, you get used to that sound of the voice, you get used to that kind of thing, and it's like, okay, well, he says it, I know his bark, I know his bite. What about somebody else saying it? You know, and I don't mean threatening. Like, I'm saying, if you want X to happen, like a great tactic in higher ed that we'd use is that, you know, if I say this one a lot to people I work with that are in faculty development, is if you're in faculty development and you want to initiate something to happen and you want to change the culture, I'm a believer that the best way to do it is to do it and get the involvement of the most higher up person and have them kind of sort of on the hook. In other words, like if you want to implement wear your wild, wacky school spirit shirts on Wednesday, a great way to do it would be to take that picture with the president of the college, right? And be like, hey, look, it's me and the president, and I got on my t-shirt. And then you're posting that up and you're like, hey, Wild Wednesdays, right? But you got to get some kind of consent, right? You got to get some kind of approval or whatever. Start at the top or start at somewhere high and be like, hey, I was wondering, this is what I was thinking of. I want to run this. Like, so, because a lot of people say no because they feel like you're giving them more work. Like, hey, I want to run this. I want to take the lead on this. I just want to know if I can have your approval, or I can have your cosign when I do this. Like, if I got a picture of you doing X, Y, and Z, if I can put you in my statement or whatever, then it's not just me saying it. You know what I mean? And I that always helps. Other thing I would say is that if you're gonna start with policies, that you ask other people, meaning like the person who initiates the policy, you were worried about looking too authoritarian, right? So don't do a survey, ask people, do a little quick survey monkey or whatever it is that you need to do, or just a Google Doc kind of thing, and ask people about the kinds of things that you're thinking about, and then it's not you acting on your own authority, it's the will of the people, but I mean, you are kind of leading that in one direction. So it might be that you're creating the survey, you have some influence. So you're going to say something like, if work culture, day or whatever, and you're like, these are things we want to address. Should we have a 1 hour lunch? Should employees be taking an hour lunch? I don't know if you have a half hour, an hour, or whatever it is at your place or whatever. But and you can approach that a different way. The way you sway it, you could be like, why are we not? See how that question sounds different? Why are we not taking half-hour lunches, right? Should we have an hour lunch? Sounds like you're really questioning the idea that you should, right? from a negative connotation, right? So I think the way that we position a lot of those things are important. As most statisticians would tell you, or survey designers, you can certainly sway the way that we want people to at least think. And I'm not saying that in a deceptive way. I'm just saying if your issue is X, you're not going to ask a question that doesn't get to that. You're going to ask a question that addresses it. And the way that you frame it kind of tells a little bit about what you're thinking. And people aren't, like clueless to that. People are going to know when they're responding. But you can be deceptive with that at the same time. So I think it's important to understand the difference. Like if we're going to say, let's say you guys work 9 to 5 and you want to say like your idea of working, hey, we want to do 40-hour work week, but maybe we want to do it as 4 days. A deceptive way to do that would be something like, with the clear stresses that have been added on to personnel's work weeks, we're aware that the 9 to 5 schedule is perhaps not ideal. I mean, that sounds like you loading the question, right? It's like who's we? Like who's we? Who's we? Right? Yeah, right. But if you can make it a little bit more mundane and still achieve the same thing. You could say there are alternatives to the 9 to 5 work week. If we were to consider other alternatives, which of the following would be ones that you would most likely favor? That still says you're trying to do it, but it doesn't say that you're condemning the other thing or whatever. It's just like, what are the options that you want to do? Would it be a weekend? Would it be longer days? Would it be like the fireman schedule where they almost sleep in the office, that kind of stuff? But I just think surveys work well. And I think that asking for buy-in or getting buy-in, I mean, you can do a guerrilla tactic too. Like that one I was talking about, I'm using it very real because we're trying to get a photo booth at a PD event. And this other school was talking about it. And I was like, yo, where do you put the photo? Like, do you have the Instagram page? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, how did you get that clear? They said, oh, we didn't ask. We just did it. And I was like, well, how did you get clearly like your president and stuff saw it. And they said, oh, we went and took a picture with the president for the photo booth. And they were like, we posted the picture of the president. So now nobody's going to ask. They're like, hey, the president's in the picture. Great tactic. Right? It's like, it's really kind of hard to say no when the president's like, I'm cool with this. Right. So a lot of times it isn't that they're against the policy. It's that they don't want to be the person who has to go do it because they don't have the bandwidth. If you're going to run and do it, then they'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll even take a picture with that. That's an extreme example, but there's lots of things like that we can do that we don't really need to go make it a big deal when it isn't a big deal. It's just that someone needs to take the initiative and do it.
I think we probably need a combination of things depending on the situation.
Like who creates casual day at your work? Like if there isn't one, who's that? You could argue that's no one's responsibility. It's just someone comes up with it and everyone believes that, because this guy said it, it's the rule.
Yeah, there's potential for that. But I would say that we have a human resources VP that's designed that particular person.
It usually falls
responsibility. His responsibility is to make sure that he engages the resources of people that works in there. So through all kind 46. Of measures and stuff like that. So it works good, man, to have people. I'm all in on buy-ins. I believe in getting the survey of the people. If they feel like they're personally involved in the decision being made, you get a greater buy-in. especially if it's some of their idea, even if it's not their entire idea, but just a fraction of their idea being implemented into changes always helps a whole lot. So, but no, that's good stuff, man.
I need you to stay on the line. We're gonna get rid of this show, but we're gonna stay here. So don't leave. I'm gonna end the broadcast, and I'm gonna have you stay right there, sir. So signing off.
Shout to the people.
We love you, but you can't stay. All right. All right.
We got to go home.
It's another one in the bag. We out of here, and we'll see you same ProQuo time, same ProQuo channel. All right. Yeah. Peace.